We're back. We're live. It's the Florida Atlantic Voice presented by Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. They are the presenting partners of the Florida Atlantic Voice. We thank them as always, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com, in the community for you. I am Ken LaVicka. I'm the voice of FAU. Thanks for jumping along here. We're going live on a Wednesday night, for all of those of you that are going to watch this or listen to this after the fact. It is live on a Wednesday night. As always, when we go live, the chat is open for you, the FAU fan. So jump in and make your presence felt, and I will take your questions and your comments, and we'll address all of these. And we'll whether it's YouTube, whether it is Twitter, we're going to answer them. We're going to talk about them. We're going to take your thoughts into account. But why are we going live? Well, primarily it's because Kanaan Carlyle is coming back to Florida Atlantic next year. It is a done deal. It is signed. It is sealed. It is delivered. FAU men's basketball announcing this earlier in the day. So Kanaan Carlyle, for Florida Atlantic, starting point guard a year ago, is coming back to Florida Atlantic. Let's just put this into a little bit of context, okay? You remember last year, Florida Atlantic, the leading scorer, Caleb Glenn, what did he end up doing? He went to the transfer portal, okay? Then you had Trey Carroll, the most improved player in the American Conference. What did he do? He transferred to Xavier. Then you had Baba Miller, who was overall the best player on that Florida Atlantic team. What did he do? He transferred to Cincinnati. Matas Voikiatitis, the newcomer of the year in the American Conference. What did he do after the season? He transferred and went to Texas. So as you can see, I'm just trying to give you some context here, some perspective on what has just happened. The best players for Florida Atlantic a year ago all left. And this isn't to judge them. This isn't to disparage them, but this is to point out how epically difficult it is to keep talented players who you have also made better, who you have bred within your system. And that's what happened last year with John Jakus in his first season and this coaching staff. Trey Carroll got infinitely better. And Baba Miller finally realized his college basketball potential, finally carried over what he had done with the Spanish national team into American basketball. Matas Voikiatitis, who didn't really speak any English whatsoever when the season started because he got to the United States very shortly before the season started. He went from introverted, quiet giant to next year he's going to be the highest paid player in the SEC, okay? And a lot of that is credit to John Jakus. A lot of that is credit to this FAU coaching staff. It's no secret how much work they did with him to help him evolve into what he became. Caleb Glenn, we didn't see him with Michigan State this year because he tore up his Achilles before the season started. Michigan State's right there in the national championship picture if he plays. But Caleb Glenn had lost most of his love for college basketball because the situation at Louisville was a complete disaster when he was there. That's why he transferred out. And then he gets in John Jakus' system. Boom, leading scorer. So what I'm saying is that while this has been a frustrating portal period, Florida Atlantic has already had a better offseason this year than they did a year ago, okay? Florida Atlantic's offseason, even if this is the only player retained by John Jakus and FAU, this is already a better offseason than what Florida Atlantic had last year, simply because Kanaan Carlyle is coming back. In case you need a reminder on the importance of the importance of Kanaan Carlyle, okay? He finishes the season as a minutes eater. 31 minutes a game plus, okay? This is a guy who was the second leading scorer on the team at 14-3. He had the second most steals at 31 during the course of the season. He had 82 assists. That was second on the team. He also chipped in just under 4 rebounds a game, and he was far and away, the best free throw shooter on the team at 85.4%, a team that was at 71% for the season. Xander Pintalan also at 85.4%, but Kanaan Carlyle took 48 more free throws than Xander Pintalan did, okay? So you get where I'm coming from here. This is massive. This is huge. And I'm going to go as far as to say this, because if you are paying any attention to American Conference basketball, if you pay any attention to mid-major basketball, but let's start with the league for a second. You realize currently, and we are talking just after 6 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday, and this will still apply if you listen to this late Wednesday, or if you watch this or listen to this on Thursday or on Friday. Doesn't matter. It's still going to apply. UAB doesn't have a single player on the roster. USF, the defending champions, they don't have a single player on their roster. Okay? So 2 of the top 4 teams in the American Conference right now with the transfer portal just open do not have one singular living, breathing organism, humanoid, on their roster. Homo sapien, no one, nothing. Not even a pet, not even an animal on their roster. Not one, they're all gone. They're all gone. Tulsa's best player from last year, you know what he did today? Portal. So all I'm saying is that Kanaan Carlyle and his commitment to Florida Atlantic for another year, and he should have been on the all-newcomer team. It was a travesty. It was an embarrassment, and I ranted about it on a previous edition of the Florida Atlantic Voice, but it's incompetent the fact that Kanaan Carlyle wasn't on the Newcomer of the Year award list. Or on the team, the newcomer team, the all-newcomer team. That's trashy. That's bad. This is not only for Kanaan Carlyle and for FAU the most impactful retention you're going to see of any player in the American Conference at any point throughout the course of the rest of the offseason. This is the most important returning player. Okay, the most important returning player who is going to be a preseason first-teamer, I would imagine. It's not only the most important retained player in the American Conference, this also is going to send shockwaves through mid-major basketball because he's going to be one of the most impressive keeps in all of mid-major basketball in an era where everybody goes into the portal and 99% of the time ends up leaving. Okay? I have no problem saying that. I say it with full conviction. This is not only a great thing for FAU, it is also, again, the most impactful, most important retained player in the league, no matter what happens the rest of the time in this entire offseason portal period. And this is one that's going to be one of the most important pieces of retention in mid-major basketball that gives other mid-major schools the hope, the slight glimmer of hope that their best players or best player will return to their school and not head to high major basketball right away. Let's get in the chat here. Kirk joining us on YouTube. This is great news. Truly thought that Carlisle was going to be a long shot to keep, similar to Vanterpool. Yeah, there's always the hope that you're going to be able to retain as many players as possible. But as we saw last year with Baba Miller going, and Baba Miller was looking for reasons to come back, but sometimes the offer's just too good. And this is not me trying to rate loyalty to FAU. And this is another point I want to make as well. My and your relationship with FAU, whether it's broadcaster in my capacity or you who is a fan who follows the team, it means something to you, or if you have a degree or you have a child who is getting their degree or has their degree from Florida Atlantic, the way we view FAU in 2026 with commitment, loyalty, it means something to us. There's a place for it in our hearts. how we consume FAU, our relationship is different than college basketball players in 2026. And it's been that way for a number of years. I hate to be this guy, but, I mean, eventually, Nick Boyd, Elijah Martin, Vlad Golden, Nellie Davis, all of them are going to be commemorated in some way at FAU. But guess what? They still are going to share their loyalties. And they're allowed to. And that's the landscape. And that's the era that we live in. That's the college basketball universe. And they had every right and should have gone to chase bigger bags. What they thought to be bigger opportunities. There was nothing more they were going to be able to prove at Florida Atlantic. So they had the green light to go elsewhere based on the rules, and they did it, and that is okay. That is okay, and it's why you felt good cheering for all of those guys, including Dusty May. Congratulations to Dusty, and I might have another surprise for you tomorrow. I'll let you know. Maybe I just gave it away right there. But they accomplished everything that they were going to accomplish. They had nothing left to prove, okay? So this is not tear down players who leave, tear down players because they're not loyal enough or committed enough. No. Listen, I'll be honest with you, okay? Like the Baltimore Ravens right now, their radio play-by-play job is open. Okay, Jerry Sandusky, not that one. Jerry Sandusky, their longtime radio broadcaster, is leaving. If the Baltimore Ravens called me and they said, hey, dude, we'll give you $750 a year, $800 a year. Come be the new play-by-play voice of the Ravens. You know what I would do? You'd be seeing my transfer portal-esque Photoshop announcement on social media announcing my goodbye. Okay? Like, sorry. That's the reality that we live in with these college basketball players. So don't pile on them. Don't disrespect them because they don't have the level of commitment that you do because your experience with FAU and what it means to you is significantly different than them. Okay? It's a vagabond sport now. It's a transient sport. That's just what happens. Okay? Now, back to what I was talking about. Kanaan Carlyle was always going to be a priority for John Jakus and company. He was going to be a priority. He was one of the main targets of Florida Atlantic. Make sure you have the money. Make sure that he understands the commitment from the coaching staff to him. He was always going to be a target. Same thing with Devin Vanterpool. But this is me speaking. This is me. This is not me parroting anybody else, but this is me being commonsensical. This is me knowing how things like this work in college sports now, in college basketball. It was going to be very unlikely, massively unlikely, nearly impossible to have both Kanaan Carlyle and Devin Vanterpool return based on just the way college basketball is structured, okay? So I'll admit that it is probably reasonable that when Devin Vanterpool went into the portal, it became more likely because there was more opportunity available to tell Kanaan, hey, man, like this is your team. This has a chance to really be your team. Now, one more point I want to make, too, before I get too far into the weeds on that. And I had to reiterate it last year, and unfortunately it didn't come into fruition, but it's worth reiterating. Just because a player is in the portal doesn't mean that they're not going to be on this roster next year. The portal doesn't mean you're gone. You're not gone until you sign somewhere else. Is it unlikely that Devin Vanterpool returns to Florida Atlantic? Absolutely. Because there are going to be several schools that offer him a lot of money because he's a complete package and he's a good kid. Okay? Is it unlikely he comes back to FAU? Yeah, it's probably unlikely. Is it impossible? No. Unlikely? Yeah. So I don't think I'm talking out of school here or talking out of turn. I don't know. I don't know what the term is. I don't think I'm being unreasonable when I say you're going to have one or the other or one of them. And one of them is totally fine. One of them is totally fine. That's a win. All right. Another point that I'm going to make, based on last year and now what we've seen this offseason, Florida Atlantic has already had a better offseason. It is April the 8th, and Florida Atlantic has already had a better offseason in basketball than it did last year. That is an unmitigated, undeniable fact. This has already been a more productive offseason for FAU because Kanaan Carlyle is coming back. It is a huge get. A huge, huge get. Anthony on Twitter. I actually thought there was a good chance he stays because of his relationship with John Jakus. And Anthony, you know what? You're right. Listen, Kanaan Carlyle came to Florida Atlantic not knowing what his basketball path was going to be. Highly heralded out of high school, 5-star guy, went to Stanford, didn't work out, went to Indiana, really didn't work out. And talking with Kanaan this season, just asking him, what was it like at Indiana? What was it like? And he said, I didn't really know the campus because I didn't really leave the dorm. That gives you an impression of what life was like for Kanaan Carlyle at Indiana, with a coaching situation that was quickly deteriorating, a fan base that was quickly becoming more and more toxic. That was Kanaan Carlyle's experience at Indiana. A guy who left high school top of the basketball world, so many expectations, and he hasn't found the right fit. Hasn't been able to realize his potential because he's never been comfortable. What happened last year at FAU? This coaching staff took him, embraced him, helped work him through some of the ancillaries that were affecting his game, helped him get focused, and he had far and away, he had the best, maybe the best overall season of his entire basketball life. Maybe not statistically, but the best overall season of his entire life. I mean, this dude not only scored and did so in pivotal moments, 14.3 points per game, second on the roster, but we went through all the other numbers. He was a phenomenal defender. Just a phenomenal defender last year. I mean, the magnum opus of Kanaan Carlyle this season defensively is when he absolutely shut down, locked down, imprisoned, bubbled Kenyon Giles, the leading scorer sharpshooter for Wichita State in their first meeting this year. That's as good a job as anybody has ever done in college basketball against Kenyon Giles. Period. Like, that's what you're getting back with Kanaan Carlyle. Florida Atlantic, yeah, the offense struggled a bit without him in the 6 games he missed due to the calf injury in the conference season. But you know where FAU struggled the most? The ability to shadow shooters and stick with the top offensive option that Kanaan Carlyle was able to do. I think that Devin Vanterpool was a better on-ball defender. Kanaan Carlyle was a better defender away from the ball, chasing the best shooters. And that mattered. That mattered. One more point on that. It's pretty damn clear that the most important player for Florida Atlantic in 2026 was Kanaan Carlyle. There is only one player who missed time, who watched from the bench as his team was unable to find a way to win without him any single game in which he did not suit up. Right? Right? On its face, isn't that massive? Isn't that truly, truly significant? Doesn't that tell pretty much the entire story, actually? Kanaan Carlyle missed 6 games, for the exception of sporadic first half, only 2 minutes second half, trying to play through that calf injury, clearly hobbled, couldn't move at home against East Carolina. And FAU lost all of them. All of them. Got hurt second half against USF. Game changed when he left the game. Didn't play against Memphis. Loss. Didn't play against USF round 2. Loss. Didn't play against Tulsa. Loss. Didn't play against East Carolina. Loss. Okay? So you see what I'm saying there. Kanaan Carlyle was, without a shadow of a doubt, the most important player for Florida Atlantic last year, and he's coming back. Okay, that's huge. The chat's open. Jump in. Twitter, YouTube, live, watching right now. Jump in the chat. We're chatting. We're talking. We're pleased that Kanaan Carlyle is back with Florida Atlantic, someone who should have been on the all-newcomer team. And, again, it's embarrassing to the voters that he wasn't. Eric, I'd agree, Ken, but what can the staff do to build a system and culture that can rotate players in and out to continually stay on top of the conference standings? It's a good question. And my answer to that is, Eric, you got to take it year by year. You are never going to be able to assume the rest of the history of Florida Atlantic basketball, and this extends to mid-major basketball, unless there are sweeping changes and guardrails finally put on by the NCAA, but I don't know if that's possible because they can't stop losing in court over and over and over and over and over again. It's almost as if amateur basketball is a sham, and it's almost as if these players need to start being treated like employees, but I digress. It's a different conversation, different time. You are going to have to deal with the fact that sometimes retention, this might be the poster offseason for retention for FAU. And you're going to have to deal with that. Listen, Tulsa turned over its entire roster. Tulsa was in the NIT final. Okay? Wichita State turned over a decent portion of its roster. Wichita State was in the Final Four of the NIT. Neither of those teams went through the injuries Florida Atlantic did. Okay, I want to stress that. Memphis had to flip its roster. Look what happened there, right? So every team, every year, every mid-major conference is always going to be in a crapshoot to see if they can carry over their coaching staff's culture and their goals and then have it stick with the rest of the team, the buy-in to be there. And it's difficult. It's really, really difficult. And honestly, I don't know yet if there's a true science to doing it. What I will say is in this climate of college basketball, and I'm trying not to come off as Baghdad Bob or North Korea-esque propaganda minister for John Jakus here, but when you win 36 combined games your first 2 years at FAU in a conference where every other team has been up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, where money is of the essence and mid-major basketball, really no mid-majors can compete with any of the top half of the high majors that keep poaching the roster year after year after year. 36 games, 18 wins a year for 2 straight years is pretty damn consistent in this day and age. And John Jakus did it without any carryover except for Nico Moretti last year. Right? So I guess that's how you're going to have to, what you're going to have to accept. Build a system. The system's the system. The players have to adapt to it. These players that you bring in, you need you can only scout them so much in the recruiting process in the portal, what kind of player they are, what kind of learner they are, what type of competitor they are. But if you think you have the right group, you build the system, they follow the system, they understand the system, and culturally, you make it known up front exactly what the culture is going to be. And if you don't fit it, you're not going to play. And if you don't fit it, you're not going to play. And guess what? You're not going to get that coveted look from the high major team that has the bigger budget, right? So 2 can play this game. So it might feel like ends to a means sometimes as a mid-major basketball fan, but you know what? You got to embrace it. Got to do it. It sucks. It hurts. It's frustrating. It's maddening. But it's how it is. Nothing's going to change that. Nothing we say or complain about, and God knows I'm all over social media all the time hating on this current system. And also, the portal is a much bigger issue than NIL in the grand scheme of things. Also, it's not NIL anymore either. But again, new topic for a different podcast. So, continually staying on top of the conference standings, I don't know how you do that. John Jakus doesn't have a scientific formula for that. Chris Mack at USF doesn't have a scientific formula for that. Andy Kennedy doesn't have a scientific formula for that at UAB. He doesn't have a single player left on his roster, for Christ's sake. Okay? So it's aspirational to think that you're ever going to be able to build any consistency with these rosters. This is European basketball. This is European soccer. You're turning it over every year because even the mid-level Premier League teams in England, the most powerful league in all of world footballing, and guess what? Every year, Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United buying all the players of the mid-table teams like West Brom, like Aston Villa, right? So that's that. Jack on YouTube. Jakus gets one more year, assuming he gets a good roster again, but we need to be 1 or 2 in the American. Yeah, I disagree. Let me put it this way, too. Based on what we've seen the first 2 years of the John Jakus era, John Jakus is closer to taking a higher elevated job than he would be to being dismissed at FAU. I don't even think that's a question. John Jakus, 36 wins through 2 years, 2 brand new rosters, 2 straight Newcomer of the Year awards at Florida Atlantic, and 2 straight Most Improved Player awards at Florida Atlantic. John Jakus is closer to having a high major call him and say, hey, want to be our head coach, than he is to ever even having it intimated to him that he might be in trouble at Florida Atlantic. Okay? I'm not going to give that any more time. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that's silly. Another point on Kanaan Carlyle returning as well. Another point. Kanaan Carlyle was the difference between Florida Atlantic having to play first day at the American Conference Tournament. He was the difference between that, his injury, his mid-conference season injury was the difference between having to play day 1 against Temple and being within striking distance of USF for the conference championship regular season at the end of the regular year. If Kanaan Carlyle stays healthy, Florida Atlantic beats Tulsa. If Kanaan Carlyle stays healthy, Florida Atlantic beats USF. Both at home. If Florida Atlantic has a healthy Kanaan Carlyle against East Carolina, it's not even a game. Florida Atlantic would have had a realistic chance of winning the championship in the regular season, 1 or 2 seed, if Kanaan Carlyle had stayed healthy. I'll die on that hill. I'll absolutely die on that hill. Let's go back into the chat here. By the way, again, thank you to Robes Law Group, personal injury lawyers, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com for all they do for the Florida Atlantic Voice, giving us an opportunity to go live, giving us an opportunity to have this outlet. And just so you know, all of you people that watch this and listen to this and react to this and get in on YouTube or on Twitter, you might not believe it. Oh, FAU fan base, small little fan base. It's not Florida State. It's not Florida. It's not Miami. Small little fan base, FAU. Guess what? There is absolutely no digital content creation that gets more views, more interaction, more attention in the entire Palm Beaches. Whether it is podcasts, whether it's radio shows, whether it's anything like that, nothing gets more interaction and views than this one right here when we go live on the Florida Atlantic Voice. So I thank you for that because that's all you guys. That's all you guys, and I appreciate that. End course 21 on YouTube. I trust John Jakus to fill in the holes around Carlyle with a good 3-and-D wing or 2. Hopefully bring Logie, Amku, Sissoko back. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I can't sit here and say with any certainty that anybody else is coming back other than Kanaan Carlyle. Because you've got Devin Williams in the portal. You've got Nico Moretti in the portal. You've got Devin Vanterpool in the portal. You've got Josiah Parker in the portal. And again, addendum. Just because you're in the portal doesn't mean you're not coming back. But it's a small percentage. that you're coming back. It rarely happens. So everybody else might be going into the portal. I don't know. All I'm saying is that Kanaan Carlyle coming back makes anything else that happens, the rest of the portal open season, basically moot. The way I would handle it is, maybe not moot, but how I would handle it as a fan. This is just me sort of playing your college basketball therapist here. How I would handle this as a fan is I would take this as the win of the offseason, and then anybody who stays into next year, who saw regular action, and I think that Enkhorst's entrance into the chat, Logie, Amku, Sissoko, those would be considered regular contributors. Any one of those names that stay, that's just added value at that point. It's a reason to get more excited, but it's easier when you don't have any expectation when it comes to the portal. I'm not trying to be cynical, but it's just easier that way because mid-majors are at such an immense, awful disadvantage in this current landscape. So to keep Kanaan Carlyle is such a win. Such a win. Okay? So yeah, I'm sure John Jakus is going to fill the holes, and damn it if he hasn't done a great job of it so far. He filled the holes from all the Final Four guys leaving. Baba Miller, Montas Vokietitis, Caleb Glenn, Trey Carroll helped him realize his potential. And then what happened? All those guys left, and he then coached up the next most improved player, Devin Vanterpool, maximized him. And then he brought in the next newcomer of the year in the American, Josiah Parker. So filling holes, that's definitely not been the issue through 2 years of John Jakus at Florida Atlantic. I had someone ask me if I was surprised by Josiah Parker going into the portal. Obviously, with his brother, DeMond, just a rising star coach. I mean, he's just phenomenal. Just young, no-brainer, going to be a head coach someday, DeMond Parker. I got asked if I was surprised if Josiah went in the portal. And again, worth mentioning, just because you're in the portal doesn't mean you're not coming back. I was honestly, and this was my fault, I had pretty much just sort of chalked up Josiah Parker to the 2026-2027 FAU basketball roster. And I did not follow the rule that I just conveyed to you, or the suggestion I just conveyed to you, that you've always got to expect nobody's coming back. And I was surprised that he went into the portal because I didn't follow my own advice. It's definitely disappointing because he is an unreal talent. I mean, just sky is the limit for that kid. I truly believe that works on his body a little bit more, develops that mid-range shot a little bit more, he's going to be unguardable. I don't know who guards him. Like, he was putting up huge numbers, just sort of putting his big backside into people and bullying his way to the rim as a 18/19-year-old. Not really a refined offensive game, more of a, I'm going to punk you. I'm a teenager and I'm going to punk you type of basketball. Think about when he's refined. It's going to be significant. It's going to be profound. I was surprised. Like, I thought I was remarkably confident Josiah Parker was coming back. So lesson learned, right? And he's going to go make some big-time money. Big-time money. And I'm happy for him. Like, truly, I am happy for him. And if I was 18, 19 years old with the type of ability he had, the type of limitless potential he had, I'd have a tough time doing it, but I would probably say thank you, and I'll text you over the summer to John Jakus and the coaching staff. I just, it's just because we grew up and we're around a different era of college basketball doesn't mean that we have the right to make judgments on these kids who are living and participating in the current era of college basketball. I don't want to be a hypocrite like that. Jack on YouTube, I hope that he said Logic, but I'm assuming that's Logie. Yeah, Logie and Amku return. Devin had the blocks, but I thought we were more effective with Maxime Logie playing. Yeah. Maxime Logie staying would be ridiculously ridiculous. Really creative word choice by me there, too. What a pro I am. Yeah, that would immediately fill a Devin Williams hole, right? If Devin Williams doesn't come back, swapping out Devin Williams for Maxime Logie, that ain't bad, right? Maxime Logie, energy guy, if he can stay healthy, a physical freak of nature. You just don't know, though. Like, you just don't know because, again, super talented guy that this coaching staff was able to help him find his way after a rough go of it at Oregon State. And are you able to reap the benefits? Or has this just been another instance of you've done the work that other schools don't have to? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It would be great to keep the two Frenchmen, Logie and Sissoko, because I think that them being in the system another year would do wonders for them and their future as pro basketball players. You guys realize, by the way, Johan Sissoko, and again, I don't know one way or another where these guys are leaning. I have not actually talked with any of the coaching staff except for John Jakus, who sent me the text today, Kanaan's back. And I didn't know because I was doing something else, didn't have a chance to see social media. I was like 40 minutes late to the entire thing. I was 40 minutes late to the Kanaan Carlyle re-signing party. So I don't know. I don't know who else is going to be back. Again, just assume no one. But if Logie and Sissoko can stay, big time. Sissoko, back to my point before I got sidetracked. You realize Sissoko bigger than Josiah Parker, like height-wise, and was about just in is built like a linebacker. You realize that, right? That Johan Sissoko's a point guard, and he was as big as FAU's starting four-man in the year. The newcomer of the year, Josiah Parker. Right? Like, that's mutant stuff right there. He gets one more year to develop. That's so sick. That would be so sick. But I don't want to go overboard because you just don't know. And this is early portal days. You remember, Baba Miller didn't get into the portal till late in the season. So that's why I want to make sure everybody knows. Kanaan Carlyle coming back, even if he's the only one, that's a huge win for Florida Atlantic. And everything I just said about Maxime Logie and Johan Sissoko applies to Omar Amku. Omar Amku, who got rewarded multiple times this season because he came out of the floor and he worked his ass off immediately and brought energy and brought physicality. And dare I say, he, if he comes back, might be the best pure post player, at least when it comes to footwork in the entire conference. Certainly amongst the returners, and then you'll have to see what's brought in through the portal after the fact. That dude's footwork is nasty. Whew, man, Omar Amku, what a stud. Final couple of minutes here. We're going to go here, so jump in the live chat if you haven't, or if you still have some things to get off your back or want to tell me how dumb I am or how wrong I am. That's fine, too. I welcome that. You know what? I'm here for the people. I'm here for the disrespect along with the respect. Go Owls on Twitter. Any word on possible facility upgrades for the basketball program? No. Couldn't tell you. We'll have to go to Brian White for that. I do not know. I want to make sure that I say this as well, because this applies to football. You all realize, and a lot of you watching or listening probably know this by this point, but you all realize that Florida Atlantic, and there is not a close second, Florida Atlantic has the best retention of any school in the American Conference. The most retention of any school in the American Conference. Again, it's not close. Florida Atlantic is the only group of 6 team in football in the top 20 in retention. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Think about that. FAU football, the last 2 years, some of the most turned over rosters in the entire sport. And it's not just the retention that's top 20 in the country, the only group of 6 to enjoy that, and far and away the top of the American. You kept your top 10 passing quarterback, and you kept your number 1 receiver, number 1 in the nation receiver, not number 1 on the team, but number 1 in the nation receiver. They're both part of that retention coming back. You understand how impossible that is, how difficult that is, how insane that is? And now you have Kanaan Carlyle coming back at just shy of 14 points per game. I'm sorry, just north of 14 points per game. A guy who was the difference between Florida Atlantic being edged to the first day of the American Conference Tournament and maybe having a triple bye. Like, you understand that there's a correlation here, right? Feldkamp back, Messer back, football, best retention in the conference. Kanaan Carlyle returning to Florida Atlantic after everybody left a year ago. Other than your backup point guard, Nico Moretti, your starting point guard is coming back, who happened to be your second leading scorer, who happens to be your most consistent three-point shooter, who happens to be deadly from mid-range. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he works his ass off defensively, especially off the ball. That is the least desirable defensive role, and he does it willingly, and he does it gladly. You realize all of that being retained, that means Florida Atlantic is doing something right in a world where money is needed to do this sort of thing. So, yeah, there are other teams in the American, other programs, football, basketball, clearly, that have more money to throw at players, to throw at talent. It's no secret. USF has a ton. Memphis has a ton. Wichita State basketball, they're loaded. But, man, I think it is really, really not talked about enough. It is under-discussed how Florida Atlantic competes monetarily with the other schools in the American. Florida Atlantic has the money to hang around and bring talent in. Is it as much as those other schools? No. Do we all wish it could be right on par with those other schools? Sure. But a lot of that is out of FAU's control completely. So the fact that you can bring back the most players of any team in the American in football, including top 10 passer, number 1 in the country receiver, your best defensive lineman, CJ Doggett, and you can keep Kanaan Carlyle when you couldn't keep any of your heavy hitters last year, that is a testament to the work of Brian White. That is a testament to the work of Mike Raffine. That is a testament to the work of Alvin Hines and everybody responsible for that in the athletics department. That is a testament to, say, the Haggertys. That is a testament to you, so many of you watching and listening right now, who have done your part to try and help the cause, whether it's attending games, whether it's renewing your season tickets, whether it is giving gifts, whether it is being available and open to being there to support these athletes off the floor, off the field. That is you people as well, okay? So just know, as frustrating as it can get sometimes, because it seems like everything's inconsistent, and you wonder, you're scared, can FAU compete in this era of college football, college basketball? They've put everything in place to try, okay? Does it always yield success? No. I mean, but look at Indiana. Indiana has one of the biggest budgets in college basketball. Guess where they sat this year when the NCAA Tournament started? Same place you did, at home. By the way, play the NIT. Stop being soft. Play the damn NIT. Let's take one final here in the chat. Anthony, do you happen to have any inside info on any players on the portal that the staff contacted? The answer to that is no. And also, I believe in my capacity that would, A, be inappropriate, working for FAU and being the mouthpiece of the FAU basketball coaching staff. And 2, it probably would be illegal as well. Because in this role, I am neither media, nor am I'm neither media, nor am I just an outsider. So it may very well be tampering for me to say anything either, even if I knew, but I don't. I do not know. I have no idea. You have read as much as I have on social media about players that FAU might be targeting. Okay, and I've seen a couple, but I'm not at liberty to discuss them. And again, I know nothing more than you, because that's the only way that I've been able to see it as well. And haven't had a chance to speak on it publicly yet either, but Associate Head Coach Jordan Fee, now former FAU Associate Head Coach Jordan Fee, what an absolute pleasure it was to have him here at FAU. And he is going to do a phenomenal job at Lamar as the head coach. A well-deserved Division I head coaching job. A well-deserved head coaching job for Jordan Fee. And you might have seen as well, the Jordan Fee claim to fame, other than being a part of the championship teams on staff at Division II Nova Southeastern, he was the head coach at Gannon Division II that will probably forever have the biggest turnaround in the history of college basketball, any level. Bottom basement, terrible Division II program. He takes over. They have the biggest turnaround of any single school ever in college basketball. They make their way to the Elite Eight of the Division II tournament 3 years ago. And guess what happened? Just a week ago, Gannon wins the Division II national championship. Jordan Fee set the base. So proud of him, so happy for him. He is about to have a baby, well, his wife, but they're about to have a child. I mean, everything is great in Jordan Fee's world. He's going to kill it at Lamar. Awesome. I mean, just a grade A human being, grade A coach, grade A human being, and I wanted to make sure that I said that publicly in this form because Jordan Fee rules ass, and I love the guy, and I am over the moon for him. One final here, Nick Becker on Twitter. Paradise and believing in the program, we will fill those seats for the players. TV coverage helps us too. We're doing a great job. We believe that we will win. To believe is to be strong. I like the quote of the great Howard Schnellenberger. By the way, you're not going to see it on the podcast, but the bracelets I'm wearing right now, these are old, by the way. But they say the Howard Schnellenberger line: "To believe is to be strong." So represent. Appreciate that. And yes, they're a little weathered if you saw that on the live chat or the live portion of this show. So get your season tickets re-upped. Football, basketball. We're going to do a whole lot of football coming up here. Might, don't want to jinx it, might have a surprise for you tomorrow on the Florida Atlantic Voice. And we'll go from there, all right? So thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Thank you, Robes Law Group, ROBES, Robes Law Group, RobesLawGroup.com. Kanaan Carlyle is back next year, Florida Atlantic Basketball. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.